Okay, we are ready to go. Thank you for joining us to our for our Tri-Valley San Joaquin Valley Regional Rail Authority on Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 at 2 o'clock. If we can please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. John Marchand, may you please go ahead and get us started?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. And we will go ahead and move on to item number 3, which is our public comment. Members of the public may address the board on any issues not listed on the agenda that are within the purview of the Alameda of the authority. Comments on matters that are listed on the agenda may be made at the time the board is considering each item. Do we have any members of the public?
Madam Chair, we need to do a roll call too.
Okay. We will go ahead and have a roll call.
Dr. Zuba,
Here.
Public,
Present.
Stepper, Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Marchand,
Here.
Nuno, King Tingle, Arkin,
Here.
Richmond,
Here.
Hudson, Bedoya,
Here.
Wright, Hernandez.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And before we move on to public comment, I actually would like to have Supervisor Halbert do the oath of office for our new representative, Julie Testa. You're on mute, Supervisor.
And it would be my honor. Director Testa, are you there? I see you.
Here.
And are you ready to take the oath? Would you repeat after me? I, and state your name,
I, Julie Testa,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support.
I sat up there and Paul told me to get down here.
No.
Paul, can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
that I will support and defend
That I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, you are now the newest sworn-in member of the Valley Link Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Now we will go ahead and go to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We do not have anyone in the room wishing to make a public comment.
Okay, and then our Vice Chair Wright would like for you to promote him, please. Okay, so not seeing any public comment, we go to item number 4, which is our consent agenda. The consent agenda can be approved with one motion. Do we have any questions on the consent? Okay, we have a motion for, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Candace, please take roll.
Zuba,
Yeah.
Public,
Aye.
Stepper,
Yes.
Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Testa,
Yes.
Marchand.
Aye.
Nuno. Nuno.
I didn't want to do background noise with Director Kenjo, but it's a yes.
Arkin,
Aye.
Rickman,
Yes.
Bedoya,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Hernandez. Hernandez,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 5 is approval of the resolution R09-2023 to authorize the executive director, CEO, to negotiate and enter into a contract with Gray Bowen Scott for program management support services. And then I will go ahead and let staff give us a report on item number 5.
Thank you, Chair. This is Kevin Sheridan. Staff released a request for proposal on May 5th for project management support services. The request for proposal was then pre-proposal conference has been held. Included up to 30 registrants for that proposal conference. And when the RFP proposals were due, we had 2 qualified firms that submitted those proposals, and they're close enough to score that we decided to convene an interview panel. The interview panel consisted of authority staff, a member from the Huntington County Transportation Commission, and transit representative. After scoring, we concluded that the top ranked firm was Gray Bowen Scott, and most qualified and most responsive. And we're recommending that we get into a contract with Gray Bowen Scott as staff support to help us with the delivery of the Valiant project during Caltrans reviews, and also to help us establish an internal control for audits for an amount not to exceed $1,794,895 for an initial 3-year base term, 2 one-year option follow.
All right, thank you. It looks like Director Stepper has a question.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. With respect to the report, this was great. You put all the steps in, and of course, Gray Bowen is a great company. I just wanted to know, in here, I didn't see anything about this in this great.
So, thank you. Councilman Morgan. David Kowalski from DK and Associates is the contractor on this proposal. David Kowalski has previously worked for Valiant before in another contract, but I think most recognizable, he was the former executive director of Capital Forward and Power Authority. So he is a master, if I will, of rail and knowledge, and especially in the region.
I guess I just missed it when I read that. I didn't see that in here, but I'm sure it must be in here sometime.
Thank you. And I would go ahead and go to Director Arkin.
Yes. Thank you, Melissa. Just one note. I'm having a really difficult time hearing. I don't know if everybody else, I think it's those in person. I'm barely catching anything. So I'm going to ask a couple questions. If you've already answered, I apologize. So just in terms of advocacy with the budget that we have on the agenda, it looks like we do regional, state, and federal advocacy, and we already have regional and state firms. So would this fall under the federal advocacy? It seems like it's more state with Caltrans. So I'm a little confused why we would be paying for more under that realm, or does it fall somewhere else? So if somebody could explain that. Thank you.
I'll take that question. Board member. So this particular contract doesn't really have anything to do with advocacy at all, more of providing staff support. Valley Link has 5 staff, and we do enjoy working on this project even during the weekends, but we need to have additional staff help us with communication with our local partners, and we're really looking at a firm or a group that had experience with large Caltrans projects on the highway, besides myself and Mr. Ritter, who are on staff that have that experience, but also to bring that experience in, basically to add another voice in our project development teams with Caltrans, and also with our funding partners such as the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and the County Transportation Commission, and also part of the firm includes a former member from the city of Dublin Public Works who's very familiar with Flemington and Dublin, or interface one part, and really it's good to have that experience in the cities on the team.
Okay, thank you. So that's where it would fall in the budget under program management support services or something to that effect, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
And Director Arkin, just to follow up on what our executive director had said, sometimes what we do is in many agencies is we contract out because it saves us money. We're not paying workers' comp, we're not paying retirement, we're not doing all of that stuff. And so for us, when we go out to be able to do joint contracts, it saves the agency funding. Director Akinjo.
Yes, Madam Chair, it's nothing serious. I can hear you clearly, but from the executive director though, I don't know what is going on. It's just muffled all through. We can barely make out what he's saying, but somebody already brought it up. That's fine. So I don't know if she's there. If he's sitting there with you, maybe you should give him your microphone. Yeah, because it's not really coming out clearly.
He's not sitting next to me. I know that I can hear Candace fine. So maybe if he needs to, he can go and use Candace's microphone.
Thank
Right.
you.
Not seeing any other questions, I will go ahead and open it up to public comment.
I do not have any members of the public wanting to make comment.
Okay. So I will bring it back to the board for a motion if
They drain well and stop and program it. Stop that with $794,895.
we have a motion from Stepper and a second from,
Marchand,
please take roll, Candace.
Zuba,
Yes.
Howard,
Aye.
Yes.
Akinjo,
I want to say no because I couldn't hear the motion, but it's okay, yes.
do you want to abstain?
Let's go for it, yes. But we had this audio issue last time, and here we are again, same audio issue. People need to hear and be able to make out what exactly is being said. That way we can make judgments concerning the issue. But I've read the agenda, I say yes.
Thank you. Testa,
Yes.
Marchand,
Yes.
Nuno,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
Arkin,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Bedoya,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We will go ahead and go to item number 6, the amendment of bylaws and accountability. So whichever staff member is giving this presentation, either our council or our executive director, can you please walk over to Candace's microphone and use their microphone, please?
Chair, this is Kevin. We'll move over towards the microphone. And just for sound check, can everybody on the teleconference hear me now? Are you able to hear what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm getting thumbs up. So is it low or is it clear at least so you can hear me?
We can hear you. It just sounds like Candace's microphone, or if she's using the Zoom link, it sounds more clear. You're a little muffled at times.
So Michael Conran here. Hopefully you all can hear me. And I was asked to prepare a mechanism by which the board could implement, a code of conduct to ensure that the meetings are done in an organized and responsible manner. This isn't something that every agency has to have when it first opens, so it wasn't initially offered, but it is something as this agency matures and as we tend to get into more controversial issues, it's not a bad idea to have policies like this. So what you have before you are really two different measures. One is an amendment for bylaw that adopts an accountability set of accountability procedures. Those are important because any action the board might take to discipline a board member implicates due process issues, and so we need to have a specified mechanism. So that is the amendment to the bylaws. The second action is a resolution that adopts a code of conduct, and that is something I found. I think it's good. It's personal. You may or may not appreciate that part, but I think it's in a context of encouraging people to take personal responsibility. I think it's actually a pretty good document. The agency that adopted it said they spent 10 years working on it. So I don't know if I saved you 10 years. I hope you don't want to take 10 years yourselves to look at this. But I think it's pretty helpful, and it's actually, I think it's really some good points for public officials. Just to note, the amendment to the bylaws requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the board, and so that's 10 votes. The resolution is the majority of those present at the meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Director Kinjo.
You are muted.
Thank you, Candice. This item 6 and 7, the way I see it, we were sent to Valley Link by respective cities. We are not employee of Valley Links. And besides, Valley Links is not making provision or anything. We are not really, there's no incentive from Valley Links that can be documented except water and sometimes cookies. So I don't understand why if I'm sent to you to either advocate or protect the interest of the city that sent me, I think my obligation rests on that cities. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. I'm not an attorney, but I think it's completely not straightforward. Unless something happened that we don't know about that prompts this particular issue to be brought up. Valley Link does not employ me. I don't think I'm obligated to sign or to approve any either ethical or anything with Valley Link. If they have issues with me advocating for my cities, they can send me back to the city where I come from or contact the city manager that this guy is out of his mind, he's not relevant, we don't want him. But for me unless Valley Link wants to employ me, I don't think I have any obligation to sign anything or to approve anything for them. This whole thing is a little bit awkward for us to modify the bylaws, then proceeded to include ethical from where? From Valley Link? I don't travel for Valley Link. I represent Valley Link very well. I'm passionate about Valley Link, but that's about my obligation so far with Valley Link. Why should I be obligated to some of these laws and stuff like that? Thank you.
perhaps I can, one thing that would be helpful to clarify is that, this board has no authority to, kick anyone off the board. I mean, everyone that serves on this board, you are certainly a representative of the agency that appoints you, and you serve in that position until they appoint someone else. However, if the board does want to take really any official action to disagree with the behavior or conduct of one of the board members in the exercise of their duties as a board member of Valley Link, it's required that they have a procedure in place to do that, because their First Amendment rights involved with members of the board participating in meetings, and their due process rights in terms of even whether it's an action of admonition or an action of censure. Those things need to be done in accordance with due process. So that is the reason for the amendment to bylaws, is basically to give this board an ability to discipline itself, should that ever become necessary. But your membership is entirely up to the appointing entity. So just to be clear, we're just simply talking about actions within the board room of the agency, although perhaps it would be also out in public, but all relative to the board, to this agency, and not to anything involving your relationship with your appointing agency.
Thank you. Director Halbert.
Yes, just to clarify, and I appreciate the comments from Director Akinjo, but Mr. Conneran, could you clarify the way I think about this? One way is to say that while we might advocate for what our position is, and certainly representing the city that appoints us, this deals more with how we might represent that position, how we would treat each other, and that these are just putting out rules for how we would conduct ourselves. I don't think it prohibits us from making any position or changing what we might advocate for, but instead it just describes how we should treat one another. Is that a fair way to consider this?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Director Tingle.
Thank you so much. Director Hubert, who just spoke, is my sentiments. To me, this is about respect. It's about respect for not only one another, it's about respect for the project. We're all in this project, no matter what city that we represent, is to bring this project, be on board to bring this project to fruition and work as a team and not badmouth the project or badmouth one another. And when that happens, I strongly agree that there should be some type of teeth or consequence in, because we're a team. And if one fails, we all fail. So I look at this as that it puts more synergy in it and more teeth in it, that we're reminded that respect is paramount. I don't care what committee or anything you're working on, respect is important in order to move forward. End of comment.
Thank you. Director Bedoya.
Yes, I have a couple questions for staff, whether it's the executive director or the legal counsel. I understand we're just on number 6 right now, item 6. Is the ability to enforce the code of conduct that's mentioned in item 7 contingent on this amendment passing?
Michael. That's a question for you.
Yes, it is.
Okay, no, I appreciate the clarification. That's the only questions that I had for now. I just do want to say it is very, very hard to hear the people in the room. I agree with the comments made by Director Akinjo in terms of the sound quality, and just reading over the staff report for this, one might say it's a little lacking in detail. That's just my personal opinion. And you know, we all have, as board members, the ability to voice our First Amendment rights, right? What I do want to say is, in terms of the spirit of this item, I will be supporting the sentiments expressed by Director Akinjo. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Director Rickman.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, it is hard to hear, whoever's speaking. It's mumbled here, and I even have an earpiece in, and I can only make out a few words. I don't know if you can pick up the mic, put it up to his mouth, so we can hear him better, or try something different, because I can't understand a word. But no, I agree with in part with Director Tinkle mentioned that, respect, and I think we all get respect, but bad mouth. So what is the definition of bad mouth? So if we disagree with something the board does, say a city or county disagrees, so now we're going to be subject to some kind of informal admonition. I mean, that's very vague and, pretty worrisome. And at the end of the day, what Director Kinjo was talking about, we're here because of our city or county placed us here because we believe in the project, or we have to be on the project. And now, as Supervisor Halbert was talking about, this goes beyond about, how we conduct ourselves. I think we all agree, we're all adults here. We know about respect and so on. But you're talking about admonition, you're talking about censoring and so on. I mean, if there is a problem with the member or on this board, then, this agency, Valley Link, should be going to their mayor or their chairperson and discussing with them and getting that individual removed from this committee. And that's what I've seen on other committees. I'm just sitting here trying to think of another committee that, I'm on, God, what, 20 plus committees probably. And I don't think any of the committee has the authority to do any of this to a board member that's on that. So if this is what we're going to approve, I can tell you now I'm voting no.
Vice Chair Wright.
Thank you, Chair. I look at this document and it seems to me that this is something that we would like to have the authority to do if something goes sideways on our committee. I don't see that this is unduly harsh. It requires a debate among the members of the committee to take such action, and it seems quite normal to other types of codes of conduct that I am subject to. I like Supervisor Rickman, I am on a number of commissions. I think I'm on closer to 30 than 20, but the issue I see is that if you don't have this authority, then things can sometimes go sideways and you have no recourse. We're not taking any particular action at this time other than to adopt the code of conduct. I'll be supporting this. I think this is a valid measure that gives us the authority to take action if we so deem as a committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going back to Director Akinjo. Did you have another question, or is that from before?
Just a more clarification on what is being discussed. It's just a little bit upsetting. Most of my advocacy, or what I noticed, which I'm sure is being flagged, I have issues sometimes with the way our executive director, with the way his assistant advocates, or the opportunity to advocate that I did not see. And I bring it up to their attention. Look, we are in Washington, D.C., you need to be there. You are there in Sacramento, we need a report. We need all these things, not because we say your work is not up to par, but I do all these things. The same thing I do, I'm not doing anything different. The same thing I do for the city of Lathrop, with the executive staff, with the city manager, with the city attorney, with the public works and engineers. You don't bring things that you cannot defend to the council. So it's not just a matter of lack of respect or anything. When you have a question and you go to the right source, we are working better now with the executive director, but I can see where I can go afoul of some of these laws. on if it is approved. So it's a matter of silencing people and stuff like that. You shouldn't do that. This body did not send me, did not employ me. I went there because my city asked me to go and I was passionate about the train and Valley Link. I think my obligations is to the city that sent me there. So that is my wholesome opinion about this particular motion that precedes the adoption of this number 6 motion preceding to the adoption of number 7. It is a no on both for me. Thank you, man.
Okay, Director Biodoya.
I no longer have my hand up. Oh, sorry. There we go.
Director / Supervisor Halbert.
Yeah, so I just wanted to recognize and honor Supervisor Rickman's comments that, and just ask the question. I believe that most of our elected bodies that we're elected to probably have something like this. I don't know about some of the other regional agencies that we work on, but I don't know that it's that uncommon to have a code of conduct like this. And to Director Akinjo, I don't know that any questions that you ask would ever be precluded for this by passing this. You should ask tough questions, but you should do it in a way that is professional, even the most difficult questions to ask. And so I just want to make it clear, because I think I heard you say that you ask tough questions and that you should be asking those questions. And the questions you ask of this director and this team are the same types of questions you ask in your elected role. And I would not want to curtail that in any way. I think what this action does simply ensures that you do it in a professional way. And that is something that I personally can live with. And I can't understand how somebody would not want to live with that professionalism. So I'll be supporting this. And but I appreciate the comments. If there are any concerns, they should be raised. And I hope by this discussion, we're just clarifying, and we still may not agree. Reasonable people can still disagree, but we should understand why. And so I hope this is a clarifying way to do that. Thank you. I'll be supportive.
Director Nuno.
Thank you. Can you mute?
Yeah. I turn him down.
Thank you, Chair. Just doing our logistics here. So with this item, and I think Director Hoover mentioned, yes, a lot of cities, jurisdictions have something similar. We have something similar at City of Manteca. And we as council and our attorney, attorney or council drafted it, approved it, and we accepted it. With this being the committee and being that I'm representing a city, I may be here for the next 3 months, and then somebody else may take my spot. I think that I'm committing my city representative to whatever it is. So what I would feel more comfortable is having my city council look at it to make sure, because whatever I'm deciding on is going to impact the next person. And at this point, I'm the only one that's looked at this piece without sharing it with my council. But I think if we could take a pause, because I'm not ready to do that without having some other guidance. But I do see in general the main idea, we're just trying to make sure we're all cordial and professional. I get that. We like to be like that. But there may be a case one day we have a Valley Link member that's not. And I get that that's probably the reason this is happening. But I just want to make sure I'm not prepared to really vote at this time without having some further guidance, since I'm not authorized fully from my city to do that piece.
Thank you. Director Rickman.
All right, thank you, Chair. And just jump on what Supervisor Halbert said. I don't think anybody in this room that that dissented against this is, detaining against because they don't want to act professional. I think that's pretty much common sense, that we all want to act professional, and a code of conduct. You're absolutely right. There is a lot of code of conduct in different committees and how you should act, but I have yet to see a committee that can do what's in section C or section 3 procedure and all these censoring and so on. So we'll just, get that out there real quick. But I agree with our council member here that, if we're going to hold somebody, an elected official that wasn't elected by this board and that was assigned by an elected body, be it city or county, then it should go back to that board and see if the board signs on. And if they don't, then we'll go from there.
Thank you. And I know that we have Director Marchand that's live in person, and then I'll have him go next, and then Director Tingle. John,
Could you get closer to the microphone? I'm sorry, guys, but we're gonna
Can't
have
hear
to have
John.
everybody move next to the microphone. Sorry.
You guys understand what I'm saying? Blowing out the room here.
John, can you please go next to Candace's computer? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, how about this? We got it, David? Okay, we're good. All right, terrific. Thank you. Okay, so in the city of Livermore, we have rules and procedures on how to conduct a meeting, not only for the council members, because it is about treating each other with respect. And yes, I know that we are all elected officials. We all understand that. But if you look at the first page of our agenda, we have a code of conduct for everybody that addresses this board. But we don't have one for the members of this board. If you look at the first page, it talks about meeting procedure. There will be zero tolerance for any person addressing the board, making profane, offensive, and disruptive remarks, or engaging in loud, boisterous, and other disorderly conduct that disrupts the orderly conduct of the public meeting. So we have that on the first page of our agenda. What I see this rules of conduct is just extending that to the board. So we're just going to ask the board to conduct themselves in the same manner that we are asking the public to conduct themselves. I don't see this as anything that's extraordinarily radical. We're just asking the board members to conduct themselves the same way that we ask the public to. And that's something that we do at the city of Livermore. I think that is perfectly appropriate that we do it here at Valley Link and all of the other boards, commissions, and committees that we're a member of. So I don't think this is that unusual. We already have it for everybody else in the public. This is just about setting up rules of procedure for the members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Arkin.
Thank you, Melissa. I'll be real quick because I know we're talking a long time on this, but again, what a lot of others have said, that this is not unique. Codes of conduct are very common with all public municipalities. And it doesn't preclude anybody from exercising their First Amendment right. Everybody can say what they want, no matter how critical. It's just talking about being respectful, working together. And just one final point, what somebody had mentioned about taking it to, future representatives. We are all chosen to be the representative for our respective cities right now. So we're making decisions, all decisions regarding this committee. We are the ones appointed to make the decisions right now. So I don't see this any different as any other decision we make. You are the representative right now for your city. So I'm supportive of it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we have to wrap this up. So I'm going to go to Director Tingle, and then I'll say a few words and open it up to the public comment.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to make this very brief. The last two people that spoke is my exact sentiments. We're not asking anyone to agree to do anything any differently than what we're accountable for on our own respective boards. It's about following order and policy and procedure, respect, and if you don't, then there's a consequence. So I will be supporting this. There's nothing wrong with asking people to continually to keep themselves in check and do the right thing. Thank you.
Yes, and the one thing that I wanted to say was a lot of agencies do have this. The city of Dublin has this exact same thing. It sounds like the Tri-Valley cities have that. And also we're a newer agency, so we have to be able to set our bylaws and set the standards that we expect for the ongoing Valley Link board when we all turn around or term out or we're no longer here. So as a new board, not necessarily new board as of yesterday or just a few years ago, as we're trying to lay out the lay of the land for future members that will be sitting in our seats, I think it's really important for us to be able to have some sense of decorum and also have this in writing. And it looks like Director Stepper would like to say or have a question or comment.
Yes, I do. Are not these words for admonition and censure already in Robert's Rules of Order, and are we not subject to Robert's Rules of Order?
We are subject to Rosenberg Rules of Order, which is a simpler version of Roberts. I don't believe they have that sort of procedure.
So I'm just surprised because I'm always going to Robert's Rules of Order, and these kind of things are normally there and don't need to be adopted.
Thank you. I will go ahead and open up to public comment. Any public comment?
I think Mr. Connor is looking up the response.
Nothing in Rosenberg's. I mean, there's a section on decorum, but there's no specific procedure in terms of the board taking any sort of an action.
Thank you, Michael.
Any public comment, Candace?
I do not have any public comment.
Okay,
I'll
no.
move approval.
We have a motion to approve.
Second, right,
We have a second. Please take roll.
Who's the motion? Was Howard.
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Zubo,
Yes.
Howard,
Aye.
Stepper,
Aye.
Akinjo,
No.
Aye.
Marshawn,
Aye.
Nuno,
No.
King Tingle,
Vote to approve.
Arkin,
Aye.
Rickman,
No.
Bedoya,
No.
Wright,
yes,
Hernandez,
Aye.
motion passes.
No, it's
It's not-
two-thirds.
it-
It requires 10 votes.
Tuesday, sorry. Not passed.
No, 6. 6 is the bylaw amendment.
Okay. So we need a two-thirds vote.
I don't know if the directors who voted no want to.
I'm sorry, we can't hear, we can't hear a word you're saying.
Come on over here.
First of all, the motion to amend the bylaws requires 10 votes. It's 2/3 of the entire board. So the motion fails. I'm curious if those who were opposed have questions or want to work through any of their concerns. We could bring this back to the next meeting. You still could adopt the code of conduct, the next item, but you don't have an enforcement mechanism. Still, it's not a bad a set of aspirational guidelines, and maybe that might be a nice statement for certainly up to you.
I would suggest that if there's any concerns that we could lay them out to be clear or and then bring them back. Michael?
Sure, no, either here, I guess, or we can bring it back. We can bring it back to the next board meeting. I think if you do have concerns, it might be helpful to contact the executive director or myself, and we can work through them. One thing I should mention, sometimes there's a little confusion with this agency as though it's a joint powers agency. Sometimes people actually use that. And a joint powers agency is an agency formed by agreement, but in that, the representatives really are representing their city. I mean, the city is a member of the agency. That's not the case. This is a separate public entity, and certainly you're appointed by, and you have a responsibility to your appointing agency. But it's not as though the agency is a member of this body. They're not. The legislature just decided to give the various cities, counties, and other entities the right to appoint a director to the separate independent health body, just for clarification.
And to be clear, you can actually sit on this committee and not be a council member. You can be a member of the public as long as your mayor and council approves it, depending on what their bylaws are in their city. All right, so the motion did not get approved. It sounds like you'll bring it back. And we've already closed our comments from our side. So if you want to say something really quickly, Director Tingle, please do so.
No, I'll let it go, but I was just simply looking at the recommendation that was simply read. And when you read that recommendation, voting no against it seems to be counterproductive of what any committee or board is about. Reading that one sentence, almost recommendation, what this whole thing was about. But I think it should come back because it almost sounds like there's no penalty or no procedures in place to admonish anyone from not following laws or policy as determined by the board.
Thank you. Director Bedoya.
I just wanted to make a brief comment about item 7. In the second sentence of the attachment, it says council members and council, when it should say board members or directors and board. And I would like to make a motion to table.
We're not on item 7 yet. We're not on item 7. Go ahead, Director.
No, I know. The right time to
Director
make a
Rickman,
motion
go
to
ahead.
table is before the item, but okay.
All right, thank you, Chair. And just real quick, in response to Director Tingle's pointing out the recommendation, and this goes beyond just the simple recommendation, and that's why the other, there's been so much dissent on this. I think we all agree that highest ethical standards, and you just put that in a sentence, I think this would pass unanimous, we would all agree. But just trying to label it as that is ridiculous. So I just wanted to make sure that this is, the reason that several of us voted against it, because there's other different issues that was stated in the past, previously. So I'll keep it at that.
Would you like to make an amendment and then make a motion? That's also acceptable. Just a thought.
Thank you, Supervisor. But no, we'll wait and we can talk to her. I would like to talk to our CEO and director, and I'm sure the rest of us, or I'll just speak on my behalf, but I would like to sit down with them and share some of my concerns with the policy that we have. But I appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, I would like to ask our attorney, since the item number 6 did not get approved, would we be bringing both items number 6 and 7 back?
Given the discussion, I think that's a good idea. While you could move forward with item 7, I think the entire subject is something that probably should be considered together. And if board members want to have more time to consider it, I think that would give an opportunity for that.
Great. Director Halbert.
I would support tabling item 7 as was previously discussed.
Thank you. And then it looks like we have our hand up in the boardroom. Now it's down. Okay, so we will bring back item number 6 and table item number 7. We will go on to item number 8, which is our state legislative update.
Good afternoon, Chair Hernandez and directors. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Gus Corey, State Legislative Advocate. Pleasure to be
I'm
with.
sorry. I do want to say we really should take a formal vote on what the actions that we just did, but if the board chooses not to, that's fine. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's a little out of order.
I don't disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Without objection, or you could take a vote, either way. If there's no objection, you can simply table the motion.
Motion to table item 7, or I second Director Halbert's.
Do I hear any objection?
Candace? Yeah, Candace, go ahead and take a roll for tabling item number 7.
Zubo,
Just a yes.
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Akinjo,
Yes.
Nuno,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
Harkin,
Aye.
Rickman,
If that was Rickman, yes.
Rickman, yes, okay. Bedoya,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes,
Okay, table.
thank you. Gus, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chair. So Gus Corey, State Legislative Advocate, pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Just have a brief report on activities in Sacramento pertaining to the state budget and some legislation of interest. So the legislature is currently in the final hours of deliberating on the fiscal year 23-24 state budget. Per the Constitution, they must pass a bill to the governor by tomorrow. And so we're seeing some trailer bills come out. The state general fund has a projected deficit right now of $31.5 billion. It's quite a swing from our $97.5 billion surplus last year and the $76 billion surplus in fiscal year 21-22. For all intents and purposes, transportation is not reliant upon the general fund. So the impacts of transportation are fairly minimal, except that because of the large surplus last year, the unprecedented $97.5 billion surplus, the legislature had made a commitment to provide transit with $4 billion worth of funding over 2 fiscal years. That was for fiscal year 23-24 and the upcoming fiscal year, and then fiscal year 24-25. There's been some reluctance by Governor Newsom in order to honor that, just given the fact that the budget deficit was $22.5 billion in January. It's increased by $9 billion. We're still waiting on $42 billion worth of tax collection, and that's because the IRS and FTB delayed tax collection until October, just given the severity of storms that were experienced statewide. But nevertheless, there's at least a legislative deal to honor the $4 billion augmentation towards transit, with $1.1 billion of that being used as flexible funding for operations, which would help out transit operators such as AC Transit, LAVTA, San Joaquin Regional Transit. And so for the Bay Area, at least, they get about 40% of those funds. So at least from the operations share, that's about $400 million. That would be appropriate over the next 3 fiscal years. And so there's still a big 3 conversation to be had between Governor Newsom, Speaker Anthony Rendon, and Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins. And so, but we do expect there to be some movement on this in short order. The legislature will vote on either Senate Bill 101 or Assembly Bill 101 by tomorrow to make this happen. In addition, there is some legislation that we believe is of interest. One of them we're sponsoring, and that's Senate Bill 746. That's authored by Senator Sanders. And that bill was just approved from the Senate, Assembly Utilities and Commerce Committee just minutes before we convened this afternoon. So It adds electrolytic hydrogen to the list of alternative energy resources that are provided for in statute. And it allows Valley Link to enter into service contracts for the generation, sale, and use of electrolytic hydrogen. And so worked very, very hard with Valley Link staff, the committee staff, in order to get this bill through the process. The next stop is the Assembly Appropriations Committee, where we do expect it to pass. And so we're going to have conversations with the governor's office to try to make sure that we're all on the same page to help compel a signature once this bill reaches his desk. And then there's two other items of interest, and maybe today's meeting would make some members interested in these two bills. It's in the report, but Assembly Bill 557, authored by Assemblymember Greg Hart, and then Senate Bill 537, both seek to amend the Brown Act. 557 would remove the statutory sunset date on your ability to meet under AB 361, where the board can meet in a virtual capacity if there's a state of emergency declaration. That privilege basically ends on January 1st of 2024. So this bill simply removes the sunset so that this can happen indefinitely. And then Senate Bill 537 allows multi-jurisdictional bodies such as ours, since we're a cross-county entity, to meet virtually without a state of emergency declaration. So each bill is in the second house, awaiting a referral to a policy committee for additional consideration. But fingers crossed, if these get enacted, it will at least give this body more options as to how you conduct your business going forward. Lastly, and this kind of ties into item number 9, Chair Hernandez, is as many know, we worked really hard last year in order to try to compel some investments towards rail. And we led the charge on augmenting the Transit Capital and Intercity Rail Program, and that helped compel an award for Valley Link. And so Will Ritter's going to cover that under item 9. So I'll stop right there, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions or entertain any comments that you or directors may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Gus. I really appreciate the report. Supervisor Halbert and I would like to add to the next item, but we actually have to head out. We're actually in DC this evening, and I would like to go ahead and let Dan Wright take the baton and go ahead and finish chairing the rest of the meeting. Just to let everybody know, we're having a really great discussion with all the committees that we've already met here in DC. So we really appreciate you. And we will see you. Hopefully we'll all be live next time because it sounds like we're having some microphone issues. So again, take care and we'll see you back at home. Thank you, Vice Chair Wright.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, Gus, I just want to be clear, that was only 8, the state legislative update?
Correct, Mr. Vice Chair. That information item under item number 8.
Okay, and then is there additional information under item 9, the state funding update?
Mr. Ritter's going to cover that.
Okay, let's move on, Mr. Ritter.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wright. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So with this item, we are pleased to report to the board that, as Mr. Curry mentioned, following our efforts to be able to infuse money into the Trans-City Rail Capital Program as part of an augmentation, in April, we were awarded $25 million through Cycle 6 of the Trans-City Rail Capital Program as an able to support projects like Valley Link that are in the formal project development process of one of the federal aid programs. And so this is something that will specifically support our ability to advance our design work along with third-party agreements, and of course, equity-focused community engagement is a part of the ongoing process in project development. And we're very excited about this and are very thankful to the governor, to the California State Transportation Agency, as well as all of the stakeholders in Valley Link, and sincerely appreciate the board for its leadership in this effort as well. Following that, we would also like to recognize that after a significant amount of work over the last year, we have finally executed a fund transfer agreement with the state of California for the $5 million in fiscal year 2023 state budget funds. that were supported through the offices of Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer Cahan. And so we're very excited that has been secured, and as you'll see or have seen it in the previously adopted FY 2024 budget, we are accounting for the use of those funds in this coming year. So again, very appreciative of the Assembly Member leadership as well as the board being able to help secure those funds. Thank you.
You're muted.
Any questions from the rest of the committee?
Yes, I have my hand up.
Okay, I
don't-
do see it. I do see
See
it.
my-
Thank you, Director Harkin.
Okay, thank you. I just have, I know the final budget committee hearings are today before the final budget approval. So I know that the state's been getting a lot of comments from a lot of people. But I wondered if, I know there's been a push with groups I'm involved in and advocating for, urging our state legislators to allocate federal highway funds to transit service operations. Have we done that advocacy at the state level?
So I can speak to that, Director. We have actually been a part of several of the coalition letters that have been led by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission as a part of these legislative efforts going on right now. So that is kind of where we've focused, kind of our efforts in maintaining coordination, collaboration, with the other transit operators in the Bay Area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, Candace, do we have any questions from the, any comments from the public?
We do not have any members of the public wanting to speak.
Okay, let's move on then to item number 10, the Federal Transit Administration update.
Yes, thank you again, Vice Chair Wright. On this item, we just wanted to again highlight the success that we've had recently with the Federal Transit Administration and their approval of Valley becoming a direct recipient for federal grant funds under the Federal Transit Administration. And this is something that we have been working on over the last 2 years. And this board has taken a number of actions in order to position the agency to meet all the federal requirements that are involved in being able to do such. And this is significant to the agency, not only to be able to position ourselves to be able to receive future federal funds that we're pursuing under the FTA's Capital Investment Grants Program, but it also is significant for us to be identified specifically as a project sponsor as we're moving through the project development as well as the NEPA process in collaboration with the Federal Transit Administration. So again, thankful to the leadership of the board of directors as well as our partners at FTA and then the Region 9 Regional Administrator, Ray Pellis, as well as Deputy Regional Administrator and their team and their efforts to be able to support us through this process.
Okay. Any questions from the directors? Seeing none. Candace, do we have any public comment?
I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on then to item 11, Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and I just want to echo some of what Will had reported in the previous item is that Valley Link, the authority has been working on getting the FTA grantee direct recipient status since before I joined the team, and it's just really a big step for us as we move forward federal funding and to be a direct recipient of federal funds grantee. That's a very significant accomplishment. I just want the board to be aware of that as a new agency, what that means to us. And then May flew by for your staff. We were in meetings every week. I think it started off with an ITV event, Shannon Center for the Hydrogen on the Menu, where we had a great, fantastic turnout, discuss hydrogen power, and we had presentations made. Just really appreciate ITV and the turnout we had, and Chair also for helping with the organization of that event or participating. And thank you for asking me to come to the city of Stockton to give a presentation. I always enjoyed being able to go out to the city and give presentations and talk about Valley Link. We also met with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, a programming allocation committee to discuss give an update on Valley Link and where we're at, and we will have a lot more discussions with MTC as we continue progressing the project. And then a great meeting with Bart to talk about how we're going to interface with Bart in Dublin, Pleasanton, and the newly positioned platform outside of the media, and a very productive conversation with Bart. And that just in essence of time, that concludes my executive.
Okay. Any questions from the board of the executive director's report? Candace, any public comment?
No public comment.
Moving then on to item 12. This is director's discussion, time for comments, questions, and or agenda requests. Are there any comments, questions, or agenda requests? Director Rickman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just real quick, I don't believe I mentioned it last time, but I know the Mega Region Working Group, which consists of SJCOG and Sacramento Area Council of Governments and Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC. We took a trip to the Capitol and we spoke with the California State Transportation Agency, Assembly and Senate Transportation Committees, and the Governor's Office. And I know I was joined with Director Zuber here, and we spoke to a similar member, Villapud was personally also. And what I can tell you, talking to the Governor's Office, that they were very, very interested in the future hydrogen plant in Tracy, and they took a real key interest on that. And we spoke about Valley Lake to some of the other Assembly folks at CSAC when I was there during the month of April, and also the One Voice trip. Even spoke to some of our representatives here in the Valley about Valley Link, and of course, we all know they're on point. But I know we were talking about funding and legislative from the state. I just want to give a shout out to Assembly Member Villapudua. And I know I speak with him on a weekly basis, and I know he's been doing a heck of a job with Valley Link and talking to the Governor's Office and pushing it up there. And I think he's largely responsible for the $25 million that we received here. Was it late April, early May, or so on? So give him a shout out, and that is all I have. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Not seeing any others. I believe that brings us to the end of our agenda. Our next meeting.
I do have my hand raised.
I'm sorry, I just looked and I did not. Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry, Bernice. It was empty a second ago. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was. I just wanted, just for clarification, since we spent a great deal of time on items 6 and 7, I'd like to know when that will be revisited, rewritten, and brought back to the board for approval.
Okay, Council, do you have a projected date or time?
Vice Chair, this is Kevin Sheridan. We will look to bring it back at the next board meeting, which I believe is scheduled for August. And if for some reason the board decides to not hold a meeting in August, we will definitely look to bring it back to the next time we meet. We will have further discussion on it to make sure that goals and objectives are clear, and really for a new agency what it means. So that would be the timeline, either by August or with the next board meeting following.
Okay, so the goal is to bring it back at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any further comments?
Here's Stepper.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to clarify where I was coming from before. I agree with what Michael said. I didn't realize that there were no rules in Rosenberg's rules of order. I remember when Scott put those in immediately that I wasn't familiar with them, because every other agency on which I've been, to my knowledge, is always Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order has all those rules in it that we're trying to put in items 6 and 7. I personally would rather see us adopt Robert's Rules of Order than try to find which ones we're missing to consider when we come back with items 6 and 7. That would be an alternative way to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Kinjo.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Director Stepper, we did not hear, all we can hear, make out was Rosenberg. We did not hear anything else from the audio. I don't know whether the audio is from down there, but I don't know what's going on.
I believe, and Director Stepper, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard was that because all of the items that are in items 6 and 7 are already part of Robert's Rules of Order, she was suggesting that we adopt Robert's Rules of Order rather than Rosenberg's Rules of Order as our guiding document. Is that correct? Okay.
Says yes, if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Makes
Yes.
sense.
Anything additional, Director Kinjo?
Yes, I will piggyback on Supervisor Rickman on his suggestion. You know, if it is possible, I think the stakeholders now, that is the CEO, the executive officer knows who are his stakeholders. We don't want to come back here to this meeting and we go through the same item 7 again without motivation and going back and forth. I would recommend he speaks to the stakeholders, at least on this issue, and clarify things before we come to the meeting, before we meet on this item next time.
I believe that was his intent. Director Sheridan is Executive Director Sheridan. Is that more or less what you said, that you would be getting in touch, or council would be getting in touch with those who did not support the current?
Just to reconfirm, Vice Chair, absolutely. We're happy to discuss with the board members, give an update when the item comes back to the board.
Thank you. Okay. Anything additional?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. If not, our next meeting is scheduled for August 9th, as we've already heard. If there's nothing that needs to be canceled, then another one will be scheduled afterwards. But it's, for the moment, there's one on the books for August 9th. And if there's nothing additional, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.